I'm Leah Brownlee. I'm the president of Lazurite. How many of you have had or know somebody who has had a minimally invasive surgery? So during each of those surgeries, the surgeon used a camera, much like the one shown on the screen, to be able to see the surgical field and do the surgery. And those surgical cameras have revolutionized patient care since their introduction around 50 years ago. But the form factor for those cameras has iteratively improved and is today much the same as it was decades ago. And that form factor means that we have long light cables and power cables that drape from the surgical camera in the surgeon's hands across the sterile field into a bulky surgical tower placed in the operating room. And those cables are a problem. They hinder the surgeon's freedom of movement during surgery. They distract the surgeon's focus from what matters most, the patient. And they also have some potential side effects of never events, fires in the operating room, slips, trips, and falls in the operating room. Now, they are a huge market, though. The endoscopic visualization market for those cameras in 2020 was $8 billion, and it continues to grow at a 6.6% CAGR. Now meet ArthroFree. ArthroFree is the first wireless surgical camera for all of minimally invasive surgery. It provides the surgeon with what the surgeon needs, which is focus on the patient, freedom of movement, and the surgical experience where the most important thing in the room is the patient all the time. Now, what we provide in that operating room kit for a customer to buy is enough for that surgeon to be doing surgery every single case all day long, especially that busy arthroscopic surgeon that may have 5 or 6 cases during that day. So let's take a closer look at the camera. So what you see on the screen is the camera and the receiver. That's the totality of the tools being delivered into the operating room. And that camera, if you look at it closely, the first thing you'll see is that kind of silver bullet looking thing. With less than 5 watts of energy going into the light source, we provide equivalent visualization at the surgical field to the 300-watt box currently sitting on the surgical tower. And we provide it at a temperature that means that there can never be a fire in your operating room caused by your camera. Next is our point-to-point wireless transmission of the image. This is critical. High quality image on the screen with imperceptible delay 100% of the time during surgery, which means that we cannot rely on a customer IT system to deliver that video over to the surgical monitor. It needs to work all of the time. And last, that surgical camera provides the surgeon his visualization for the entire surgery. So it needs to be on, the battery life needs to last the entire duration of the case. And we deliver a battery to the operating room that lasts at least 60 minutes per battery. So that covers most arthroscopic surgeries. But we have 3 batteries that we deliver, so at least 3 hours worth of surgery in that sterilization tray, and coming in at just 0.2 pounds per battery. So, in sum, that camera what we're delivering, ergonomically designed, comfortable to hold for the duration of the entire surgery, and lightweight, coming in at less than 1 pound total for that camera. And that's replacing about 40 pounds of equipment on the surgical tower. So we are launching and have launched into arthroscopy and sports medicine, really focusing on knee, shoulder, hip, and small joint arthroscopy. But all of those arthroscopists that are going to be our first customers and buying the product, they have colleagues in minimally invasive surgery, and those colleagues have voices in the capital equipment purchasing process. So we want to make sure that the surgical camera can also perform if their colleagues want to use it. And so we've been doing work in investigating how that camera performs in general surgery, GYN surgery, ENT, urology, and other areas. We have broad intellectual property protection, in addition to our broad indications for use. We have issued patents in the US and worldwide with broad claims for the surgical camera. So I want to next just let a couple surgeons tell you about their experience instead of me talking to you.
I think it was a real positive experience with ArthroFree. I've now had the opportunity to use it several times, and it's very useful to be not tethered to as many cords. We use a lot of cords in laparoscopy. We have several different types of electricity that are coming onto the field. We have fluid management, we have suction, and to be able to lose the camera cord and the light cord, which are probably two of the heaviest parts of it, it gives you a lot of freedom.
It was nice to do a patellar tendon ACL graft and a partial lateral meniscectomy in 45 minutes. And we were able to do all the transitions of 30-degree and 70-degree scope and change from using the shaver and having bleeding and putting the hardware in, and the camera kept up with all of those transitions. It was nice and light where you didn't even have to think about your right hand or your camera hand while you were working. And I think Dr. Kelsey and I both felt that when you change direction, that you don't have that drag with you where the cord is following with you, so it actually makes for a more ease of movement or freedom of movement. We did it in one battery.
You know, with those voices, what are the cameras that those surgeons are changing from, and how does this camera differentiate their experience? ArthroFree is the only camera on the market with a wireless video transmission, integrated light source, and an integrated onboard power source to allow that surgeon the full freedom of movement and focus during his case. It also provides value outside of the operating room to the financials of the customer. Stacked side by side with that gray bar, which is our conventional camera systems, it provides up to 20% cost savings on a case-per-case basis using just those hard numbers of the actual costs that are in the budget to purchase capital equipment, do SPD cleaning, and do replaceable components. The team at Lazurite, consists of myself. This is my second startup, and I have a history working in venture, both at large law firms and inside companies as an operator. Eugene Malinsky, our co-founder, the inventor of the technology. This is his fourth company. Neil Lyons, our CFO, who came out of big accounting and has spent half of his career in early stage to mid-stage life science companies. And our newest add, which I'm really excited about, Gerald DeLuca, our Chief Commercialization Officer, who came to us out of Intuitive and then Arthrex. So his depth of connections within the orthopedic world and his knowledge of how to deliver a shorter sales cycle on capital equipment going into systems, and when, as you can see how Intuitive has done a great job, and we have him on the team that was there when they were building their market and knowing how they made their procedure, went through their sales process. And then we're led by a professionalized board of directors, including some highlights: Gary Cohn, Mark Formson, who's an orthopedic surgeon, and others. Thank you.